I'm Hara Allison, and this is Dream Anyway, a podcast for those of us who feel the pull to create, even when the path isn't clear. So wherever you are in your journey, grab a coffee, get comfy, and dream anyway.
I'm Katie Preston. I've been in Spokane for about a year, and I am in love with getting to know people here and kind of rebuilding myself in a new place.
I was just wondering how we met. I know you came for a lunch, but how did we even become friends on some social media?
How was it? I think just because I was tracking like artistic things in Spokane, and I think I had seen you promote the Dream Studio on maybe WeFew or one of the other pages that was on there. So I was following it. Yeah. And then you posted the thing about like, I want to meet you and have lunch. And I was like, great. I don't know anybody here. I love lunch. I'm
always so impressed when somebody says yes to those kind of things because it's so out of my comfort zone. So when you all come to me, I'm like, oh, yay.
This is great.
A new person.
I love it. I love that you did that because I was dying to meet people here and wasn't sure how to do it. And so I thought it was great. I had so much fun talking to you that day, too. I was like, I feel like I've known her.
And you moved from where?
I was bouncing between Boise and LA.
Doing what?
Mostly acting and different production stuff. I'd been working as a food stylist out of Boise for kind of 8 years. And then down in LA, acting and doing different production coordination stuff.
And do you like acting? Is that what your vision for your future is?
You know, I always thought that it was, but, you know, kind of thinking about the context of what we might talk about today, I really was thinking about that. I love it. I know I want it to be a part of my life, but I don't want it to define me like I had let it at one point, because I think that messed with other parts of me I wanted to have grow. It's a very consuming thing to get into. And I felt like it limited a lot of my personal growth in a certain way. And I think moving it to a different part of my life, not having it be everything, but having it be something that I do is fulfilling me in a different way. And it's making me a better actor and I'm enjoying it more.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How did it limit your personal growth?
Different things like, you know, when you get into auditioning heavily, like you'll get...
No, I don't.
You don't? You
never,
don't do like 6 auditions a week?
I've never done an audition in my life. I never will. This is not a thing. You need audience and I'm the audience.
Fair. Okay. So as an actor, like sometimes you'll get this audition call and it will be Wednesday night and they're like, this is due Friday morning. And I'm like, cool. A lot of times you have to have like a day job anyway. So that means Thursday you're working all day and trying to learn lines and then canceling whatever plans you had Thursday night to do it. So I got to a point in my life where I realized I was doing like 6 auditions a week, canceling plans to learn lines, begging friends to come like read with me. My life was revolving around it. And, you know, you book maybe like 1 in 200 auditions you do or something, you know, if you're in LA, because everything's so competitive. And so I just got to a point where I was like, if this was a relationship and I was putting in this much effort based on what I'm getting back, I'm like, this is unhealthy and weird. Like, I'm being a needy, crazy person. And so kind of moving it to a different spot in my life and really just going after the parts that I want or even creating my own. I started doing that because I was like, well, what do I want to play? If I'm overextending myself to do it anyway, I might as well do what I want to do with it.
I love that.
That's put me in a much healthier place with it versus trying to make it my life. Because then you start auditioning for parts you don't even want. And I think artistically, that's a whole other thing that a lot of us get into when you try to monetize the thing you're passionate about, is you become a weird slave to other people's vision of it and it kind of ruins it for you. So being like, I want to get an actual job outside of production again and just be able to create what I want, when I want, and do the things that inspire me has been kind of healing. You know, a lot of people are like, do you feel like you failed or like are backtracking? And I'm like, no. And I think we need to redefine the way that a lot of us look at failure. I'm like, just because one person's idea of success has been this for 50 years doesn't mean that I'm not going to be happier being a stay-at-home mom and a janitor. I don't want to be either of those things, but I think if people do, like, that's great. And I've seen very happy people doing that.
Right.
Yeah. And it's enviable that like they're going after what they want versus what we've been told to chase.
Right. Right. I'm just stuck on that. You have to learn the lines for all these things. Why don't they let you read if it's not guaranteed?
You know, my understanding, and I'm going to have 10 people being like, you're wrong. But my understanding is if it's like a SAG project, they can't require you to be off book.
Oh, okay.
But also I've had casting directors say that if you're not off book, we're kind of judging you for it.
Oh,
but you know, like a lot of independent projects, they don't operate under the same rules. And like, you just aren't taken seriously if you're reading. And also as an actor, like, I feel like you bring something different to it when you do know the lines and material. But gosh, it's consuming.
So doing your own thing, does that mean directing or writing? What does it mean for you?
The first thing I did, I have a web series streaming on Tubi that I created after a breakup and I didn't know how to process it. And it was just one of those times where I was just like, I'm not sure what to do. So I'm just going to write everything that happened. And a friend of mine was like, we should make this. And so we did. And that was one of the first times that I saw, oh my gosh, you can actually kind of just put out what you want and create something and build it as it goes. And like, that's kind of what I see you doing with the studio, is just like, I don't know what direction I'm going with this, but here's kind of a vision. And you start collecting a team and things change and morph. That was a point where I was like, oh, I can actually write the exact character I want to play and create it and do it. And it's more fulfilling than chasing these parts that I don't want anyway.
Right, right.
So writing has turned into a thing I like.
What's that show called?
Running on Love.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I definitely feel you about doing your own thing. I keep creating these series because what do I want to make?
Yeah.
What art do I want to see? I did a series with people blowing bubbles because I saw a piece of art that I was like, I wanted the painting. And then I thought, oh, wait, I could just make the art.
Right?
I was inspired by art, but I made my own art. I liked that.
I think that's great. That just reminds me too of the concept of like, we're all getting inspired from everybody. Because I think so often they're like, oh, they stole my idea or whatever. Or like, oh, they ripped it off. And I'm like, you probably did too.
Right.
Like, I think we're all just recycling ideas and building on them and like doing our own interpretation of them all the time.
And that's really what I'm hoping Dream Studio turns into, is we can realize that there's no competition between any creative, that it's all collaboration. And I went to an art show once, must have been 25 years ago. And it was at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. And there was a model sitting in the middle of all these artists sitting in a circle around her, drawing her. And you could walk around the outside of the circle and look at the art. And one of the things I found so fascinating was they're all looking at the same thing, but because they're in a different spot, they have their own perspective. But plus, because they all have their own style, there was a different perspective. And that is art in general. I can't even repeat what I've done. If you say, I like what you did 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I'll be like, I don't know how I did that. I just wish we could take it all more lightly.
I really do too. And just seeing that the beauty is in like whatever weird little thing comes out of it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we could embrace that we all have our own voice, no matter if we're all looking at the same thing even.
So much that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the not competitive thing. And, backing up to when I said I kind of like retreated from chasing acting full time, that was something that I noticed within myself, is I would feel more competitive when I was chasing it for a reason of trying to like chase what I thought somebody else's dream was, or what I thought I was supposed to be doing. That would make me more competitive because I wasn't fulfilled inside. And I've also found that like when I am just going after the things that I want to do, I'm taking care of that piece of me inside that needs that sort of fulfillment. And I'm not jealous of other people doing what they want to do because I'm taking care of myself in a different way.
Oh, that reminds me just in general, how the more I love me, the more I love you, that I can be so generous with you if I'm more generous with me.
Which is one of those cliches that drives me nuts how true it is.
But it's so true.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just like, okay, it's right.
When I started to learn to love myself, I remember being on the tennis court and thinking that this woman's cellulite was just beautiful because I was being so kind to me that I could see the beauty in her. The more I love me, the more I can see the beauty in you. And it's not a competitiveness and it's not a comparison.
And I think we need to take the time to get to know ourselves, to really love ourselves that way. It is so cool. It's so freeing. And it is insane when it lands on you outside of just saying it. You're like, oh.
Yeah. So how are you in that department?
Loving myself? I think honestly, better than ever. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, once you are kind of aware of, you start chasing it. So I do feel like I grow on that a little bit through each experience.
Was there anything that inspired it or happened, or did something change, or have you always sort of liked yourself and now you're just liking you more? I mean, because for me, it was a big aha moment.
Okay. Like a big specific one?
Yeah. My daughter was talking negatively about her body and I realized she was mimicking me. And then I thought, oh, I just love her so much. She's perfect. And then I thought, I'm somebody's daughter. I'm perfect. And so I started talking to myself as if I would talk to my daughter.
I love that.
So sweetly. Good try. I know you're doing your best. And it felt silly at first. And then it was, now, if you could hear my inner critic, she's so sweet.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it
she's
so much.
She's so kind. And I mean, I think it would be embarrassing if it was out loud because I'm so generous with me because my daughter's perfect the way she is. And so I must be also.
Right. I love that. But I think that generosity that you have for yourself, it does extend to other people and people can feel it. And I think it is like an attractive quality to feel that way about yourself.
Right. Also, and imagine how hard it is for somebody else to try to pick up that slack for you. I've had boyfriends where, of course, they couldn't love me if I couldn't love me.
No, because then you don't believe them and you're like, you're just saying it.
And it's nobody's job also. Okay. So, but back to the question, was there some moment for you or has it just always been?
I think it's been kind of an interesting journey my whole life because I feel like I've just always really just observed other people and tried to see like what's working and what isn't. And I think I did finally just get to a point where I was like, some people just choose to love themselves and it's okay. And other people choose not to. And I don't like the way that looks. And then I think it is a process of struggling and redoing. I took kind of a year off everything to go through this weird like life coaching meditation program. But I went insane reading self-help books. And so much of it was just that. And it's like the more you hear it and start to practice it and see it working, you're just like, oh my gosh, it is. And I can do this. And I can probably do anything I want.
That is so true. I'm smiling so much because I remember once asking on Facebook for book recommendations and I was like, not self-help. But then once you jump in,
I don't want to read anything else.
You do go down a route. I do want to read self-help because I am the only one who can help me. It's my head. That's the problem.
Every time. Yeah, it is fascinating.
Yeah,
it is so fascinating.
What other creative endeavors are you working on?
I've been getting into photography more because that was something here, again, moving to Spokane and not having a community because I'm so used to being like, hey, do you want to like make a movie this weekend and having 10 people jump? So I've kind of gotten into photography because it's something that I can do alone. And I've been painting more and writing, but I am, again, grateful for your studio because I'm trying to get out and meet more people and do things around here more.
Yeah. You showed some of your photography at my last First Friday event and you did double exposures. And so did you do those in camera? And if you did, how did you do it?
So, and here's my question, and I'm going to show my newness with all this. I keep calling it long exposure.
Could be.
Okay. Because I just bumped the like shutter speed all the way down.
Oh, and then you moved?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was asking. How do you even do it? I'm genuinely asking.
Okay.
I just jumped in 5 years ago. When everybody says, oh, they're a novice, I'm like, aren't we all?
I think so. And again, like I think the more you work and the more you meet and talk to more people, which is why I think this podcast is so great, is the more you see everybody's kind of doing that. Like I've been on sets in Hollywood where the camera guy is like, I'm not really sure what to do with this. I'm going to go look it up real quick. And I'm like, oh, you're getting paid more today than I probably will all year. And I'm like, and you're still just kind of figuring it out. So I'm like, okay.
I know somebody who's a web developer who gets paid a lot of money. And she says her job is to professionally Google. She said that's all they all are. Web developers is just professional Googlers of how to do things.
I think that makes sense. I keep coming back to like camera guys because they're so technical and they talk and they don't have any apology for not knowing what they don't know. And I think that's fascinating. But I'm like, just seeing in that realm, how many people are still just like, no, you're learning every day. Like you don't master it. And it's like, and then they change some equipment. So you got to figure it out. And it's like, there's no shame in saying, I don't know. And I'm figuring it out.
Once I could get my head around that myself, I could go into every photo shoot without the pressure of I have to know. But I'm having fun. Let's explore together.
Yeah.
Every photo shoot is fun.
And fun is so important.
I only want to do things I'm going to have fun doing, hence my own projects.
I love it.
I've done behind the scenes on films and it's fun, but it's not your vision. And to help somebody realize their vision is fun, but it's not fulfilling as your own vision.
Yeah.
But I do think there are probably people who just like that, don't have this need.
Right. And that's what I think is cool about tapping into yourself and knowing what you want is because there really is enough opportunity out there for all of us to probably do exactly what we want to be doing. At least me, I don't know about everybody else, but as a kid, I just spent so much time watching, well, this person's happy and they're an actor. So that must be what's going to make anybody happy. And so I just went after that so hard. And then I got to a point where like I was living in LA and I saw people like leaving and they're like, oh, I'm going to go live on a farm in Missouri. And I was like, I'm kind of jealous of that. Just like, oh God. And he seems so fulfilled and happy. And then I was just like, Katie, you are just like chasing everybody else's dream. Like what makes you happy? Like, what do you actually want to do? And I think again, within the realm of being on set and all the different jobs in there, I think there are people that just want to help fulfill other people's dreams. And that's beautiful because there are people that just want to like create their own dreams. Again, if we just all tap into who we really are, I think we could all beautifully help and support each other here. And I like that we're kind of in this new phase where I think life is almost asking you to chase yourself a little bit, which I don't think has always been the case. I think a lot more people are becoming aware of exactly what we're talking about like the power of loving yourself and fulfilling yourself. And I think even 10 years ago, I don't think that was as socially acceptable. It was like, no, you have to have a certain job and commit to doing something. And misery actually equates productivity. And it's just, I don't think that's something that as many people are buying into anymore. I remember hearing so many people like being like, we're staying together for the kids. And I'm like, good. So you're showing them that misery is an acceptable choice here.
So bad.
I know, it's interesting. And I'm like, I think the coolest things I've ever seen parents do is take care of themselves when kids are young enough to see that.
I have a magical husband and I say
with
this
a pretty face.
With a very pretty face. Yeah, he does. Even with my kids, I say this, I come first and I'm the only one who matters really. I'm the only one I'm in charge of, I guess is what I want to say, that I can be loving and helpful, but they're also in charge of themselves. And I am only in charge of me. And I hope we're nice to each other and we can build each other up, but it's not my job. What do you think about that?
I think that is insanely important. I think I'm more comfortable around people that function that way because I think it starts to create a weird codependence if you don't, and it throws people off. Like, I think, because ultimately I think what you said is exactly right, whether we believe it or not. And the energy of acting any differently creates some sort of toxic reliance on each other that makes us both sacrifice things that don't feel good.
I can't even control my own thoughts half the time. How could I be in control of what you're going to do or think?
In art and creativity, we can't control everything. And I think a lot of times people wait until all the ducks are in a row to go. But I'm like, I don't know. You start walking and you collect ducks you didn't even know were there. And then some you thought were stable in there, like leave. And you have to adjust anyway. Like, even if you think you have everything lined up perfect, you have to adjust anyway. And so just like not being able to control things is something that I think is a massive point to stick on.
I really love that. For me, I'm a collect ducks along the way and let's see what happens. My husband is not that way at all, 0%. Do you have people in your life who do not understand you're collecting ducks along the way?
Yes. And some that I feel like have given me judgment in the past for like specifically dumping whole herds of ducks, just being like, this whole project doesn't serve me anymore. But I think we have to give ourselves permission to do that too.
Yes.
Because if it isn't fun and it isn't like giving you energy, it's kind of killing you in a weird way.
I just saw an old post I did like maybe a decade ago that said, I want the ability to dream and then also to leave that dream by the roadside when it doesn't suit me anymore.
I love it.
Like, this is what I want to do today. I don't know about next week. And I think that's totally fine.
And nobody does. Which is the funny thing.
Right.
Like, you get into something and people are like, what's your long-term plan with that? I was like, how's that divorce going that you thought was going to last forever? I'm like, life changes. You don't know.
My mother passed away when she was very young. And so I guess I felt this way always, but you just don't know.
We don't.
I can't wait for ducks to be in a row.
We can't. And so,
I don't even know what that looks like anyway.
No, right? And they might come up with a pattern that we didn't even
exactly
think of that is awesome. And I love that. Actually I have it tattooed on my side. It's a Dolly Parton song, but it's called In the Meantime. And the whole idea is just like the really cool parts of life are happening right now while we're out here like waiting for all the rest of this or like thinking about what it should be.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I think that's so true.
Well, and that's what I think Dream Anyway means to me is while we're busy going about life, we got to dream anyway. We might as well. I don't know. And I hope things stick or that they don't because they weren't meant for me.
Yeah, I love it. And you almost have to look at it that way, right? Anymore.
You were talking about doing a year of a deep dive. Tell me all the things you did.
I actually looked through a bunch of different life coaching programs because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, but I knew I'd always liked talking to people. And I also knew that that was going to be more helpful for me than just therapy. And I was at a point where I really needed to adjust some things in my head and needed a little guidance with it. And I ended up landing on this program through the Chopra Center where it taught me to be a meditation teacher. And then I went through this whole Ayurvedic section, which was awesome because I've always been a little bit of a health nut. And then the last part was just like life coaching. And it was just basically, you know, what I like about that approach versus therapy was like, it's kind of like, what is wrong? Where do I want to be and how do I get there? And not what is wrong? Why am I that way? And how do we spend 10 months circling around the drain of something that is in the past? And I just want to pick up and move forward. I think there's space for both in life, but a lot of times I think we get hung up on stuff that we can just choose a different direction or like choose to reorient ourselves a little bit. Something that I have learned is to be like, when I do go to just like check in for whatever reason, I will be very clear with like, this is where I am. And this is where I want to be. And I'm like, I'm interested in this. Or like, and then they'll say, well, why do you think that happened with your mom when you were 12 and you want to talk about it? I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I understand what it makes me feel and I want to figure out how to choose something else. And I think, again, that comes back to being in alignment with yourself and knowing yourself well enough to know what you need. But we do need to ask for help sometimes.
Do you currently have a dream that you're pursuing? Like, I know you have all these different things, but what's like the very next thing?
The very next thing right now, honestly, is I'm looking at homes in the area. For that breakup that I wrote the web series about, I had found myself living somebody else's dream, right? So I had this really nice house and this awesome partner. Like he was the most amazing person in the world. And we had this like dream looking relationship, but I felt like I was living somebody else's dream the whole time. I was like, I don't want the stability. I don't want to feel trapped. I don't want to just feel like here's where I am for the next 50 years. So after I left, I ended up just kind of like house sitting and pet sitting. And I called it my gypsy phase for like 2.5 years, maybe. And now that I'm here, I'm realizing I kind of do want the roots and stability and just to have my space that I can decorate and fulfill the way I want again. So that's kind of a big thing for me right now, is just kind of rebuilding sort of a home base for myself here.
I definitely love having a space that feels like me, that my possessions are meaningful, those kind of things.
I think that's important. And a lot of me needed to search for why that was important again. Because I again went through a phase where I felt like all this stuff was defining me, or like I found comfort in having things. And I kind of asked the universe, I was like, I want to be broken of that. I want to find home in myself. And now I'm on the other side of that, where it's like that freedom was really fun. And now I don't have like a bunch of stuff, but I'm like, okay, now I want to like enjoy material pleasures again a little bit. Yeah.
Do you know what you want your legacy to be? Do you know what you want people to be thinking about you?
Yeah, I think it would just be that I fully committed to myself and exploring myself and like made it fun and was just authentic. It's like a huge thing for me. Like I would just want people to be like, well, I didn't agree with that, but she did it and it made her happy.
What do you think about that? What was true for you at one time, it might not be true for you at another. What do you think about our truth?
I think that it does evolve and grow. And I think we got to let it, and we need to not beat ourselves up for it. And, you know, the whole, is it Maya Angelou or Oprah? Sometimes like they quote each other so much. I'm like, I don't know. But just like the whole, you don't know what you know until you know it, basically.
And then do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
that's Maya.
Okay, thank you. And a lot of us, I think, beat ourselves up when our truth does change for like wasting so much time on that. But I'm like, what a beautiful part of the evolutionary process. And again, we're the only ones who knows what it is.
For me, this is true, that it's all a journey. And what I believed when I was 20, 30, even 40, even maybe 50 is not necessarily true what I believe this minute.
Yeah.
And so I can't know what anybody's thinking. I can't even know what I'm thinking.
Amen. Yeah, same.
It changes. When I was younger, I used to keep a journal, and it was so important that I wrote it. And then the minute I wrote it, it wasn't even true anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was out and it was no longer this burden.
Yeah. That is something. So I have a couple friends that we like voice message back and forth on Facebook. And so often one of us will blurt something out and then come back and be like, all right, I don't actually mean that. But I'm like, that's what the space is for. Is like, I'm the type of person who I have to hear myself say, I am going to buy a big red truck and like pimp it out and do all this stuff. To 10 minutes later, no, that's absolutely not what I want. But I have to hear myself say it and like feel an emotional commitment and then be like,
I really like that though. I like that about us. When somebody says, but you wrote it or you said it. Yeah, but it's not even true the minute I said it. The minute it escaped my lips, it wasn't true that next second.
And we hold everybody to everything. We hold ourselves to everything. Yeah. There's so much. Yeah, you're right. We're moving through it. When I moved out of that 14-year relationship a couple of years ago, I burnt 20 years of journals. Because I was just like, I've been carrying these around with me. And it was so funny. I posted the bonfire on Facebook and people were like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm never going to read these again. I don't want anybody else to read them. And they're dead weight. I'm moving around. And I've been in that habit ever since. Every time I finish a journal, I burn it because it's just like giving it to the universe and being like, this is a piece of me that's out now. I have felt so free by like dumping those things and moving. I think it creates space to move forward and step into who I am now a little more. Some days I even just like write on little pieces of paper and burn it immediately. I think that's the other thing with journaling too. I think some people get into this thing of it has to be a certain way. And I'm like, seriously, some days I'll write down 2 words that just like I need to hear, or like a word I want to focus on, or like things I'm grateful for. And other days I won't do it. And it's again, one of those things where it's like, you know, that was big for me when I got out of the habit of, I have to do it every day and I have to write 3 pages every day. I was like, no, even in studying meditation, you're taught it has to be for a certain amount of time in this sort of like environment. And again, what was freeing for me was being like, guess what? My truth is it can be whatever it needs to look like for me that day. Sometimes I stand there and like sway if my body feels funny or like I'm antsy. It can be whatever you need it to be. And like we're in charge of creating that for ourselves and knowing it.
And what do you think about people giving us permission when we don't actually need it? Do you find that's true for you?
Actually was thinking about that this morning, and I grabbed this note card that I had written for myself probably 2 years ago that I posted up because it had hit me so hard how much I was waiting for other people to give me permission for things. So I put this up in the bathroom and it said, things you don't need permission for. And it was to take up space, to have joy, to feel anything, to be present, to hold your head high, and to forgive yourself. Because I had seen myself spinning around waiting for other people to give me that, or for other people to understand my experience in a way that I finally felt, aha. That was, again, the most freeing thing, is like, nobody is ever going to understand you the way you want them to. So you just have to have your understanding be enough.
Yeah. Do you think as a young girl, you were taught that you needed people's permission? I mean, I guess we all do.
Right.
We're taught rules, of course, you know.
I think we are. At least in my experience, I was actively taught that like a lot of things I wanted didn't matter because I wasn't girly. Like I think had non-binary been an option when I was a kid, I think I would have taken it.
Yeah.
And there are just a lot of times where you're like, I don't want to wear tights. And your mom would be like, well, how's that going to make me look if you don't? Or just like, I don't like certain relatives kissing me in certain places. Well, they love you. You have to let them. And it's just like, you're just constantly taught that your space you need does not matter. And everybody else's perception of what you should be doing does. And I think that happens to all of us in a certain way. I think a lot of us get off on blaming people or being upset about it, but there's nothing there. I'm like, our parents were doing the best they could. That's how they raised. That's what they thought. And we get to move forward from it now. Like we get to choose to not live with it controlling us anymore.
Yeah, I really love that. You made me think of this lady who took care of me when I was from 2 till I was 10. She lived with us.
Oh my gosh.
And she used to pull my hair so tight till I cried. And she used to force feed me because I wouldn't finish my food, which so disrespectful of what I wanted that I couldn't even tap into that till my mid-40s. Like that, what do I want was a question I could not have fathomed.
Yeah, no, your choice is to detach from yourself and learn how to please other people.
Yeah, it's really crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the youngest of 6 and I always assume all my problems. I'm going to blame it on that. It did have an effect, obviously, being the youngest of 6, but I appreciate so much that you're saying that there's nobody to blame. Because I do believe even the person who pulled my hair so tight was doing the best she could.
And they're all doing what they're taught, right? Like, yeah. I know that I've had conversations with men in my life who have been, in my eyes, jerks. But, you know, talking to them, they're fulfilling the role that they thought they were supposed to fulfill too. And it's just like we spend so much time pointing fingers and blaming instead of, again, just trying to understand each other and communicate.
Thanks for listening. New episodes drop every Thursday.